I said the chance we'll take it. I said the rules we'll break it. We're gonna make our dreams come true. Doing it our way. Nothing's gonna hold us back now. Straight ahead and on the track now. Gonna make our dreams come true. Doing it our way.
Hey homies, what's up? It is I, Ryan Wynn, your humble and handsome Ink King, here tonight with another Ink Along, but it's another special episode where we are live and we have a special guest. I am going to bring on creator of the Ghetto Dragon, Mr. Julius Freeman.
What's up, guys? How you guys doing?
So Julius is a writer of the Ghetto Dragon, a book that is currently on Indiegogo. It is funded, but of course, as we all know, that's just the start of it. He's got 17 days to go. We're going to slide. Oh, sorry. This is his character, but we're going to get back to that. Let's take a look at the campaign really quick. So it's over on Indiegogo. There are links down below for not only the campaign, but also Julius over on Twitter. And you can click on those, give them a follow, and click on the link for the Indiegogo and go check out the campaign. Do you want to tell us a little bit about the book? Do you have a quick synopsis?
Yeah, it's about a young man who's growing up in the ghetto, in a ghetto city in Orange County, Santa Ana, and there is a local gang terrorizing the people who live there, and he. The reason why it's called No Good Deed is because he's jogging one night and he happens to literally run into kidnapping in the process happening in real time. And so when he sees what's going on, he takes immediate action, saves the young girl, and manages to beat up the guys who try to kidnap her. But as the saying goes, no good deed goes unpunished. So the gang, feeling slighted, not slightly, but feeling insulted or threatened, they decide to make him pay for his good deed, and that's where the story takes off. And it becomes a game of chess throughout the whole story. Who gets the last word, the final say in the fight, and that's what the Ghetto Dragon essentially is. It's full of it has some action, it has some drama, it has a little bit of romance. There's a little bit of romance in there, but it's also an action adventure, a thrill ride. And I hope you guys enjoy book one, because if you guys would like book one, I can't wait for you guys to read book two of the Ghetto Dragon, because that one's going to be bonkers. Let me tell you.
I know I'm super excited, and it has nothing to do with that we are both Orange County dudes. That was something I discovered after the fact.
Happy accident.
Yeah, but Julius and we live mere miles from each other. I discovered you on Open Mic with Peter Cimetti and love the idea, love the name of the book, love the look of this. The art is great. Why don't you tell us who the artists are?
The artist, the penciler, is named Alan Fletcher. Very talented artist, very up and coming. He's new to the field, and when I pitched him the idea, because he had an Instagram account, he's not too much active on it now because he's attending school full time, and so when he was active on Instagram, he put up a post saying, "I'm looking to do some comic book work. Hit me up, and if I like your idea, I'll work with you with prices and whatnot." So I sent him a DM. He said, "Okay, shoot me your idea." I sent him the idea, and the next day, he said, "You know what, man? You said Bruce Lee. I'm sold. Let's do it. I've always wanted to make a martial arts comic book, so all right, let's go for it." And he's been with me ever since. And the colorist is Guadalupe Bustamante. She is a very talented artist in her own right from Argentina. And the inker of the book is Julio Falkenhagen, who's also from Argentina and also a very talented artist in his own right as well. And I was on my stream last night with Matt Krotz, and we were talking about the talent pool that's coming out from South America. And guys, South American comic book artists are going to come out of the woodwork, and they're going to blow everyone out of the water, let me tell you, because right now Thomas Moria, the artist and writer of that book and that campaign, is from Brazil. So that's just indication that there's going to be some great things coming out of South America, and we should both be proud and happy for that, and at the same time scared because there's like a lot of skilled talent out there, and there is to be some fierce competition when they come out of the woodwork and start their own campaigns. But
oh yeah,
yeah. That's the. Go
I've
ahead.
seen that coming for a long time. No, that's I was just gonna say, with Joe Prado and some of those guys down there opened my eyes up a long time ago to the talent, and it almost reminds me of sort of like the Filipino invasion 25 years ago or so, when Will started being able to shed light on some super talented people that we weren't going to normally see, So sorry, go ahead, keep going.
Oh, no, I was just going to say that. Yeah, you're absolutely right, and so that there's a big talent pool coming out from that area, and we should keep an eye out because there are going to be some great books coming out. And Alan Fletcher's style, the reason why I liked his style is because it kind of looks like a little bit of prison art, which is what I liked about it, which is the reason why I decided to contact him, because I kind of like that look, that prison art look. It's not prison art per se, but his style kind of reminds me of that. And also his characters, the way he shapes them, kind of reminds me of Jack Kirby a little bit. The wide face, wide-eyed, and I don't know. I can't put my finger on it, but
big, solid. Like, look at these strong,
exactly.
like big block. Like, you don't want it. Like, those hands look like when they hit you in the head, it's gonna leave a bruise.
And he is a huge. He's a student of Jack Kirby. He's told me in various emails that he reveres and studies Jack Kirby very closely. So I could see it a little bit, and it took him a while to get accustomed to the sequential art part because he was used to drawing pinups. But after about the 10th page, man, he found his stride, and he's made my job so much easier when it comes to laying out panels. Now he and I, we have become one. And so now whenever I just send him a script, he knows exactly how I want it. And when he sends me those first layouts, it's like, okay, dude, I don't need to edit anything anymore. You just know exactly what I want. And it's like, that's why I say book 2 is going to be freaking bonkers, guys. Like, the pages that I have that he's been giving me so far, it's going to be out of this world crazy. But book 1 in its own merit is still a fantastic read, and I still highly recommend you pick it up because it's part of a 2-parter. So originally I wanted to deliver this series into 1 book. That was the original plan, but since he had to go back to school full time, he wouldn't been able to provide me the pages in a timely manner that he was doing before. So I decided to split the book into 2 and focus on this one while he finishes up the second book, and give him more time to finish that up, because I would hate to have delays in delivering the book to you guys, to the people who are contributing, who by the way, thank you for doing so. You guys don't know how much that means to me, because I've been working really hard for a lot of years to get myself out here and show people my work. So again, thank you from the bottom of my heart. I really do mean it, that people have supported this campaign, and helping make my dreams come true, becoming a published comic book writer.
Fantastic. No, I love the ambition, I love the desire, and I love the execution of the product. Again, this is another reason I wanted to have you guys on here. I'm a big fan of indie books, not just supporting and promoting for friends and stuff, but looking out for other things that are interesting to me. And that's what this book was. This is interesting to me. And it has a quality of indie book that I like, where it looks indie in that it doesn't look like a mainstream superhero book, but the layouts are top notch. The penciling's great. The inking's great. Another thing that I'm usually very picky about in indie books, I'm always very picky to people. I'm like, gotta have good lettering. You can do loose, you can do handwritten, you can do whatever it is, but it's got to be so legible. It's got to be so easy to read. Doesn't matter how it's done. But and immediately when I was looking at the pages, I was like, oh, look at, even from a distance, I can read this. And it's lettered very nicely. Actually, it's more than just I can read it. It's great.
Thank you, man. I am the letterer of the book. I took the time to
Oh,
that's another pet peeve of mine as well. So yeah, I forgot to mention that part. Yeah, I am the letterer of the book. I lettered the book myself. And for those indie creators who are watching, or writers, I highly recommend you learn how to letter your books. I invested in Font Labs and Scan Font. It's a little pricey, but it's worth it because now I was able to create my own font. But this font was created by actually it was created by Apu Chan. So he created that font for me, and I just scanned his pens, and I went on Font Labs and I did the whole kerning, everything, all the works, and then boom, I got my own lettering, and I didn't have to pay for anything. It's all that's all me. That's mine. It belongs to me. And you're right. That's another pet peeve of mine when it comes to indie books. It's like I wish the lettering would have been a little bit more legible, more because lettering is just as big as part of the comic book as the art and the colors and even the story. If you don't have good lettering, it kind of takes away the experience. At least for me, I don't know about anyone else, but for me, it kind of takes away the experience of reading a good comic book is the bad lettering.
no, I definitely agree because it's sort of the voice of the book, at
Right.
least the voice of the
Yeah.
story. There's plenty of comics that I just enjoyed the artwork over and over again, but that's not the point of when you're writing and producing a comic. You want the whole thing to hook a person, and
Right.
the way the writing gets hooked into you is that legible lettering. And
Yes.
again, it can be
Yes.
handwritten. There's plenty, like Farrell Darlimple does these indie books where he hand letters everything, and it looks hand lettered. It's
Wow.
definitely like lowercase, and but it's very legible and easy to read and well placed balloons and everything like that.
And
So
that's what
it's,
matters.
again,
That's
it's
all. That's,
yeah. It doesn't matter
yeah.
how you do it. It just matters that you make it work for the reader. It's got to be so easy that they don't
Absolutely.
know that they're going from balloon to balloon. It's
Right.
like invisible hand holding that you guide them, and at the end, if you did it right, they kind of don't think about the lettering, sadly. And that's
Right. No, you're right.
but
No,
that just
and
means
that's
you did it.
yeah, exactly. And that's a sign of a good letterer. That's a sign of a great letterer, is that if you forget about the lettering, which is kind of, it's a double-edged sword, it's kind of like a thankless job in a way. Because if the reader doesn't notice the lettering, that means the letterer did their job perfectly and great. And
Exactly.
I think lettering is only appreciated from other letterers. And also because I appreciate lettering now that I've learned how to do it myself and how hard it is to do it. Because the main obstacle for me was covering. I don't want to cover too much artwork. That's the what I had to learn when I had to learn how the process of making comic books is like, oh, wait a minute, I need space so I could put the bubbles, or else I'm gonna end up covering the character's face or the character's hand, that kind of thing. So I had to learn that. So now I appreciate the lettering aspect of comic book making. So whenever I do pick up a comic book today, I now look at the lettering to see if the lettering is any good, alongside the writing and the art and everything else that comes with picking up a comic book.
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to take a look at the chat here because they're chiming in. Faris Jabbar, always welcome. Says Tom Orzechowski is one of the best letterers ever. Yes, he is.
Yes. Yes, agreed.
And hand lettered until recently, I believe, too. I think he was a holdout on, or at least on certain projects, I should say. Certain projects.
That's still impressive, though. That's hard. Hand lettering is difficult. I tried it once. It wasn't fun.
Yeah, I have a page from Promethea that's hand lettered by Todd Klein.
Yeah, Todd Klein's that guy's a master, man. Seriously.
Yeah, it's funny because it's great artwork on there too, but I think one of my favorite things is that it's a Todd Klein original. Like, yeah, it's J.H. Williams and it's Mick Gray inks, but it's also Todd Klein letters. Like, I don't have any other letters on anything, any other original art I've ever gotten. There's no lettering. So
wait, no, I misheard you. So you have an original art piece, like from like an actual board with Kevin Kline's letters on the board?
Yes.
Yeah. That is dope. Wow, so, I misheard you. Wow, that's awesome. That's
yeah,
because it was great find right there. Wow.
Yeah, it was kind of the book was done almost, I don't know, around 15 years ago maybe, and they were still
Yeah.
doing some hand lettering, and yeah, they did it on that, and yeah, it was great.
That's
So I'm gonna
awesome.
say hello to
Wow.
just a couple more people. We got
Yeah,
Jobu
go for
in the
it.
house. We got Simon and Seven. We got my my homie, my wrench. I always say his name wrong. I'm just calling him the T Ranger. What's up? What is up, Tion? Tion, 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 Tion. No, you know what? It's like a sound
Tion.
effect, like a metal, like Tion, Tion, Tion. Hey, we have Edwin of
Hey, Edwin,
Edwin
what's
the
up, man?
Ace. Hail,
Yeah,
Edwin.
Ace.
Welcome.
Sign up to his mailing list.
Always do what Edwin says. And welcome, Randy Scribner Jr. Always
What's up,
welcome.
Randy?
Good to see you, buddy. So you know what? Hey, we're going to start on the inking thing, and then we're going to come back and look at some perks and talk about some of these different covers. So we're going to use that as like our commercial break later. So what we are doing
for everyone
tonight,
who's watching,
go ahead.
For everyone who's watching, I also have my my copy. I'm gonna do my best to not butcher the inking. This is my first time inking anything, so I'm gonna try my best to see if I can. Ryan, any pointers as you're inking will be appreciated. So I guess we just start,
for sure. My number one pointer is just remember, this isn't about how good did you ink it. This is just all about stepping up and trying inking and everyone having fun with it. So that's what I tell everyone in the crowd. And so what we are doing here, this is Matt Guerra. This is the main character, so I should give it a little spice there, huh? Matt Guerra. He is the Ghetto Dragon, and he is the main character of the book, and he is wearing a cool Bruce Lee inspired hooded sweatshirt. So I wanted to make sure to get that into the headshot, because I will be coloring this later on and uploading a quick running laps quick shot, which will be a time lapse of me coloring this. So we wanted to make sure to get his costume. It's sort of his superhero costume. It's to me, it feels like it's this real world version of that, you know?
Yes, that's exactly what I was going for when I designed the character. I wanted to pay homage to Bruce Lee, but I didn't know how exactly, and I didn't want to give him the traditional yellow jumpsuit either. So I was thinking, okay, what would be I guess a symbol, a good symbol? And I was like, oh yeah, duh, a hooded sweater. Like when people jog sometimes at night, because the character in the story does jog at night, you wear a hooded sweater. So why not just give him a yellow sweater with the black stripe down the. Thank you, Rick Joseph. Thank you, I appreciate that. And Rick Joseph did back the campaign, and I hope you will enjoy your copy when I send out the books and all the stuff. So going back to what I was saying, that's what I eventually came up with the idea. Okay, yeah, that's it. And then that was it. That was all I needed. And then the shoes, he also wears the yellow shoes, and the yellow shoes came from a friend of mine who one day came over to my house for a party, and he was wearing those yellow shoes. And I was like, dude, those are dope. Like, oh my God, I can't believe they actually made those. And he's, oh yeah, man, there was like a special edition A6, Bruce Lee special edition type of limited run. And I got my hands on the pair, and I was like, wow, that's great. And then that gave me another, I was like, hey, I'll just give him the shoes too. So there you go. Voila. There was the creation of the Ghetto Dragon's look for the book.
Awesome. And anyone out there that likes to recreate costumes, that'll be a fun one that'll be a fun, simple one that you won't look like a masked weirdo walking around on the streets. You can still be in your Ghetto Dragon costume.
Yeah,
no problem. So to start, I like to do what's called the contour lines, or the holding lines, and those are sort of just the outlines of everything, and that sort of allows me to identify the shapes. Not everyone has to start that way. It's not a hard rule, because often in my video I start by saying that, and then I start telling a story, and before I know it, I'm doing something other than what I said I was going to do. So
it's not always the
we
way.
we just kind of roll with that sometimes. So I lay down some rules, and then sometimes I break those rules. So we do start. These are just the pull ties on his hoodie, and these are just some simple lines. You can give them weight if you guys want to. You don't have to. And then I just do like a simple little kind of oval shape around it, and that kind of is a simplified version of the little metal holes that are on the hoodie. And Julius, I also remind people that they do not have to keep up or ink at the same speed as me.
Got it.
I
figured that. I
I've been
figured as
doing
much.
this
I just kind of went ahead and went ahead and just go with them. We'll go with the flow here.
Yeah, go with the flow. Because again, my rules are not rules. They're guidelines if you want to follow them, and I will embarrassingly break them.
That's perfect that you say that, because that's exactly going back to the Ghetto Dragon philosophy, is that a lot of it was inspired by Bruce Lee's style of Jeet Kune Do, which is a style with no style. So it's rules without rules, and that's interesting that you have that kind of same philosophy when it comes to your inking. You kind of let loose and just go with the flow, and that's exactly what the whole famous term where he said, when you pour water into the cup, it becomes the cup. Be water, my friend. The water is formless, right? So
Exactly.
That's interesting that you have that philosophy, and that's the key factor of Bruce Lee's philosophy that always stayed, that kind of remained with me all of my life. Because as a child, I was exposed to Bruce Lee when I was about 9 years old. My mom was a huge Bruce Lee fan, and
Cool.
it was surprising because she was, she came from Mexico, a poor pueblo. And it was surprising to me. I was like, you know about Bruce Lee? And she was like, oh my God, yes, I love Bruce Lee. But in Spanish, oh, me encanta Bruce Lee.
Mm-hmm.
Es un buen actor. Me gusta cómo se pelea con las películas. He's like pretty much saying, I love how he fights in the movies. And she had the original Game of Death poster. It was those old 1970s, big, huge, those big freaking like 20 by 30 posters. She had that. She had that poster saved in her closet. And me being the dum-dum that I am, I didn't take care of it, and it got destroyed. I should have taken better care of it. Because I could have had, a vintage old poster of the Game of Death on my wall today if I just taken care of it. But yeah, it's a philosophy that I like, the style with no style. And that's exactly, and also Jeet Kune Do was a style that Bruce Lee created not for cage fighting like a lot of people think he did. He created for street fighting because he was a street fighter. For those of you who don't know about Bruce Lee's upbringing, he was picked on a lot as a child, and he got tired of it, and so he took the time and effort to learn. Was that the fight, the hand style, the Ip Man? That movie Ip Man. I don't know if you guys seen Ip Man or not.
Yeah, I am gonna draw a blank on that fight style right now, but somebody in the chat probably knows.
Yeah, if anyone in the chat knows what I'm talking about, please remind me and put it on the comments so we could. I just can't remember the name of the style, but he learned that, and then he realized, wait a minute, although this is good, this is not really practical when I'm in a street fight, because there are no rules in the street fight. There's no like, okay, guys, round one, go at it, and then you take a break, and then you having to stick around. So Bruce Lee's thing was no, I need to create something a little bit more practical, and that's when he created the Jeet Kune Do style, which was a style meant to make sure that when you do end up in a street fight, you take down your opponent as fast and as soon as possible, because the longer you are in the street fight, the more dangerous the situation will get for yourself, even if you're a talented, skilled fighter. You always want to end the street fight as fast as you can. But of course, his first rule was always try to talk your way out of a street fight first. But if there comes a time where that's not going to happen, then he recommended you finish the fight as soon as possible, as quickly as possible.
And that's all of that stuff is good philosophies for art as well. And I can't take total credit for that. Danny Mickey had a huge love and affinity for Bruce Lee as well. So there was a lot of sort of similar disciplines in the inking studio back when we were working on Spawn and stuff.
Cool, very cool.
We were supposed to think of our nib as like a blade, almost like a samurai's blade, and to pay it that sort of respect. To the point where even things like my first year at the studio, he was like, New Year's Eve, make sure you have a nib in your pocket at midnight. He's like, and that's, you need to initiate yourself into the universe as like this badass being that can sling this blade like nobody else. And you're just like, as at 22, you're like, yes, yeah. I'll pick up a real blade for you, bro.
That is pretty dope, actually. That's awesome. That's awesome. You had a sensei type of teacher in inking to
which is funny because sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
It's just funny because he's also a huge goofball. Like, which is kind of what you want from that sort of person too. It's very serious, which again is going with the flow, because not every moment is serious. So you need to be lighthearted and cheery and goofy when Absolutely. It calls to be lighthearted, cheery, and goofy.
Absolutely. Agreed.
So what are you inking with tonight? You told me before the stream. I like to tell people about my tools, and they always hear about my brush Stinger here, which is a Raphael Kolinsky brush. But sometimes I use brush markers, sometimes I use pens, sometimes I use everything.
Which is a very great brush, actually. I gotta get me one of those. That looks awesome. You could ink with that brush, but I'm sure it takes time and effort to practice with that kind of brush, especially if you want to get it with clean lines like you're getting it right now with your tool. Mine's a pretty basic, go-to Micron pens.
Heck yeah.
years ago, I bought a pack of these Micron pens because, as I was telling you earlier before we went live, I lay out the panels of my comics first before I write the script, so that way I can have a clear visual as to what I want to see on the page when I give the script to the artist. And going back to the philosophy of style with no style, that doesn't quite mean that I expect the artist to draw exactly what I laid out. It's more of a blueprint that I give the artist, because I'm a believer and practitioner of that a comic book collaboration between a writer and an artist. There's got to be a compromise on both sides. So of course the artist, this is all a different kind of, this will probably be a whole different topic for a different video, but I'll say it quickly here for the sake of time. If you create something together, then it's, that's one thing. But if you hire someone to draw what you already developed yourself as a writer, then that's another thing. So what I try to do is that when I hire an artist to draw something that I had already developed, I write out encyclopedias of like the character, their name, their height, their backstory, like when they were born, what happened when they're age 13, that kind of stuff. I write it all out, so that when I hand it to the artist and they go, here's everything you need to know about the world, the setting, the characters that are going to be involved in the story, their backstory, so that way when you get the script, you know exactly who they are and you know them. So that way there's no, I guess I try to keep the questions to a minimum, so that way they could just focus on drawing. And so when that happens, I like it when they suggest things. Say I give them a script and it has like, I don't know, 6 panels, right? And they give me back the thumbnails with 7 panels, and they go, well, I thought about splitting this into 2. What do you think? And then they show me the thumbnails, and a lot of the times, I would say 90% of the time, it's 10 times better than what I wrote in the script. Because they have a different interpretation of it, and a lot of the time it's a lot better because they have more of a visual eye than I do. Because as a writer, you're focused more on words, you're focused more on the story, making sure the story flows, making sure the story makes sense, that the plot is strong, that the characters are well developed. So you're focused on those things, and the visual stuff kind of gets on the side. So the artist kind of picks up the slack for me, and when they do that, it's so much better. There's been so many pages in this book where I've written the script, and Alan just comes back with these thumbnails and say, I changed this, I changed that. And at first, as a writer, you're like, oh, why'd you change it without asking me, man? Like, that's not cool. But then when I see their thumbnails, I'm like, okay, actually, yeah, that's actually a lot better than what I wrote. So, all right, let's go with that. That's cool. So that's a rule of thumb that I live by, and I recommend any of the writers who are watching the stream right now, if you don't draw and you hire an artist, I highly recommend you give them leeway to be expressive, because you want that. The more room you give them to breathe, to express themselves the way they know how, they'll produce wonderful pages for you, and they'll make you look good. It's essentially, as a writer.
I'm gonna say they have to earn it. Sounds like they did in this case, but make your artist earn it too. That change they make, it's gotta be a good change.
It's got to blow the writer away. It's got to be like, okay, yeah, that's actually better. And of course, be firm, guys. Don't be afraid to tell the artist, what, it's not working. It's not working for me. Change it back. Change it back to what I originally wrote it, and that's okay. Again, it's a compromise. It's hey, I give you some, you got to give me some too, man. Like that's how it works with the collaboration, or a partnership, not a partnership, but a collaboration when you hire an artist to draw your stuff.
Also, there's such a and I bet you can agree with this. There's something to being able to let go of it a little and let that collaborator like come in and do their part. I'm old, been doing this a long time, so I'm kind of used to that. It's actually kind of the high I look for in a project now, where it's like,
oh, nice.
When they say, hey, I don't know about this, I go, ditch it. I don't care. What do you think? Like, I'm immediately ready to just like almost too much sometimes, where they're like, well, no, I just meant like, let's soften the edges or something. I didn't mean like, let's rewrite something, but I'm very much ready for that. But there is something, it's kind of like, I don't know, like letting a wave take over if you've ever body surfed or something like that, where you're just kind of like, you're still kind of in control, but there's this other aspect to what's going on, and it's fun, and it can be exciting if you let go and do that and let your collaborator chime in.
Agreed.
I'm gonna 100%. I'm gonna let this sit and dry. I'm gonna check out the chat here because everyone is chatting up a storm.
Oh, nice. Nice. Hopefully we started a good conversation here.
A lot. It looks like I went back a bit because we missed some here about the lettering thing. Ferris Jabbar says, curious to know if people are lettering digitally now, or if they are purchasing lettering packs online for certain software. Most people I know, they are not doing the lettering style that Julius described that he does earlier, which is awesome, which is a more kind of DIY approach to what everyone else is doing. So it's simple in the aspect that digital lettering is simple, but using a custom font like that is really cool and really unique. Most people, including myself, will go to places like Blambot by Nate Picos. And not only does Blambot have great lettering packs, super affordable, all set up so that you don't have your crossbar eyes in the middle of words and all that sort of thing. You don't have to worry about that as much, even though you should, keep your editing caps on, folks. But yeah, I find that most people tend to do that these days over, any type of hand lettering, or gosh, I don't know about people using other software either than other than Illustrator. I mean, some people do Photoshop. I do some for promotional pieces in Procreate. What do you do yours in?
Mine?
Yeah.
Font Labs. Font Labs, which is very time consuming, guys. It's not easy. It's very, very time consuming because you have to get the kernel. Kernel is when it's the space between the words. So when you type in the word, you got to make sure there's not too much of a big space in between words. You got to make sure it's all kind of snug together. And of course, there's a space for in between words. So it's a process for sure, but it's very satisfactory when you, in the end of it, when you have it on your Illustrator or on your Photoshop, and you just click on, you know, the fonts, and there's your fonts right there that you've worked on, and you're like, oh, it's mine. Like, oh, this is so great. So like, it's so satisfying. But you know, that's one avenue to take. And I'm not saying that's the best avenue. I just personally chose to do that because I wanted to learn how to do that, because I wanted to learn. I want to learn more as much as I can in the process of making comics. So that way I know what I'm doing as time goes on. But purchasing fonts from Blambot is also a great avenue too. I mean, a lot of fonts you buy one time and you can use it forever, and that's great too. There's nothing wrong with that. As long as you pay, you know, the people who produce those fonts. And if you want to go take down the route, like I said, I would recommend you invest in those softwares, because they are worth every dime, and you will not regret it if you're serious. If you're a serious, you know, student of the game, you know. But if you don't have time, then again, there's nothing wrong with using Blambot. There's nothing wrong with creating your own font in Photoshop or nothing. As long as you find a way, do it. There's no like, you know, set rules, I guess, in other words, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I love doing it in hand lettering, that is, in Procreate a lot of the time. The only problem is the way, let me not fumble over my sentence here. I love hand lettering in Procreate sometimes, but if I'm doing it for an Alterna project, when they print on the way they print on newsprint, I don't understand the whole aspect, but it has to be a vector file. The lettering has to be a separate vector file. So it has to be done and set up in Illustrator.
That makes
or
sense.
you know,
Sense.
Font Labs may do that too. It just has to be, you just have to be able to have it as a separate thing. So
yeah, I think Font Labs does allow that for vector. I remember that I remember that word specifically, because when I bought the software, they provided a PDF guideline book for me, and I read it, and I remember reading that vector. So yeah, they for sure do offer that.
But cool. See, now I'm glad we get these great questions. Ferris is always, they're all asking great questions always, but Ferris always comes in with cool stuff like that, where I didn't expect you to bring up Font Labs. I didn't know really much about it. So now I have a cool new thing that I want to go look up.
Cool. You should
check out.
You should. I highly recommend it. I highly recommend it. It's once you get the hang of it, once you understand, and it's like anything else, right? The more time you spend with it, the better you'll get at it. And once you get the hang of it, you're set. You're set to go.
Welcome Diablo Hashcraft.
Welcome Diablo.
Always good to, yeah. He's another native Californian here. I don't know if he's native, but he's living here in California, and he's
nice.
A good friend of the channel and of Alterna and indie comics in general.
Nice.
All right, we got our regular homie here, William C. He says, I'm trying to do this inking thing, so not much chatting from me right now.
It's all good, man. It's all good.
I'm happy to hear that, and bummed because he's always funny. But I'm actually happy to hear that he's inking. He's a great artist. He does a lot of color work, and his work is based on forms and color, kind of blocking out color shapes, more like a graphic design element to it.
Yeah.
So he's trying to get more into doing line work and things like that.
Nice, man. Nice. We need more artists in the world. We can never get enough artists in the world.
That's what I say.
Yeah.
And because I even tried to, that's what this channel's about. It's people that are even curious about it, that they don't want to be a professional inker. They just like comics, and sometimes they're sitting around watching TV or something, and they want to try something like this. So
yeah, that's cool.
You know, it's fun hobbies that I think people are scared to try because they think like, oh, well, I'm not going to be professional at it. And it's like, well, that doesn't mean you're not going to have fun doing it.
Exactly.
Like, yeah. I've played on stage in front of hundreds of people, and I've also had some of the most fun playing guitar by myself in a bedroom with nobody else around, you know, just playing guitar, just me and the guitar. And that's been
no Winzig tonight.
No Winzig tonight. I mean, I don't know what you're talking about. That guy's trouble. he might make an appearance some other time. I don't know. That was
That's
nutty.
all good. It's all good. It's all right. You know, we could listen to Misfits down, you know, some other time.
I am going to do a little explanation really quick on hair. One of the ways that I like to do hair, especially if you're inking along on this, this is one of the rare times where I didn't have the final ink image to give you as a clean image to ink over. So you're going to have to be making some choices on the hair. And what I like to do on hair is basically break it down into simple elements. We're going to find some basic like locks of hair, and we're going to identify those, and we're going to also outline the hair. And then we'll go in and start adding some detail. So there's ways to simplify these processes. I would say this is almost the analogy in writing would be, let's see, this is almost like, wow, it's almost, I was gonna say it's an outline, but then that's the same word. I'm outlining these shapes, and then you go in and do, fill it in with paragraphs and dialogue and descriptions and things like that. So it's a very similar process. So I'm basically, outline and identifying just like you would different parts of your story arc or chapters. And then you go in and do the details. You wouldn't just start writing with, okay, here's word one, like in,
right.
God, what was that movie with Billy Crystal? Throw Mama from the Train, where he's like just starting at a typewriter and the night was, the night was.
Dude, I haven't seen that movie in so long. Oh my God, man. You brought me back to my childhood with that movie.
Yeah, I probably haven't seen it in at least 20 years, but I watched it so many times as a kid. It felt kind of edgy. Like it felt like, well, actually it was. It was about murdering them.
You kidding me? Throw mama off the train. Of course it was edgy.
I guess I didn't think about it because like Billy Crystal's kind of dorky, right. It's and his comedy is kind of like goofy a little bit. So I think of it like as a Billy Crystal movie, but like, dang, that's a dark movie.
It was a very dark movie for sure.
Even all the like how he imagined it killing his mom and stuff. The scissors and everything, it's all coming back to me now. Wow, dark movie.
Yeah, very dark movie, but very funny at the same time.
Yeah. And meanwhile, the thing that stuck with me as a creator was that terror of sitting and staring at the blank page of the night was, and what do you do?
I've been there plenty of times. Yep.
Yeah. And what do? You simplify. You come up with your idea first. You don't just start with word one. You think about your project. You think about where you want to take your character, and you do an outline, much like we're doing here on Matt. Now, is it short for Matthew, or is it Matthias, or?
Yeah, Matthew. Actually, it's funny. I named him after a friend of mine named Matt, because my friend Matt is one of those hardcore anarchists, and so for the longest time, he and I would always get into these deep philosophical conversations about anarchy, about different ideologies of the world. And he was hardcore, man. He was really hardcore. But what I admired about him the most was that he didn't take crap from anybody. If someone, what I like about him, and to this day I still like about him, is that he has his beliefs, but he doesn't impose them on you. He respects other people's beliefs, so that's why I was able to remain friends with him for so long, because he has that form of respect. But what I liked about him, his character, well, not his character, but his demeanor, is that once you cross him, you're done. Like you're freaking, you're gonna get his wrath, and there's nothing you could do about it. And so I named the character after him, because it was a kind of like, hey man, this is my little tribute to you, because you always. Another reason why I liked him is because he always challenged my ideas as well. He was always questioning, like, why did you come up with that, or why did you, why do you believe that's true? And then we talk, and we just go back and forth. And he and I have had a lot of great conversations over the years. And he's the I guess you could say the beacon of dialectical interchange, where you sit down and you talk to someone, they give you what their perspective, you give them their perspective. There's no debate. It's just a talk. It's just a discussion. And by the end of it, you both gain something equally, because he didn't convince me to be an anarchist either. So, and I couldn't convince him that he, that capitalism was probably the best system economically and that kind of stuff. So, but we still have a mutual respect for each other, which is always a good thing. So that's why I named him Matt. It was kind of like a tribute to my friend.
Oh, that's cool. And it's cool that you're, open to discussion like that with different friends and people. That's how I try to be.
You got to be, man. You got to. Life's too short. Life's too short to hold grudges because of a difference of opinion or the way someone views the world. Like I said, life's too short. You just gotta. That's great. I have a Matt's as lead in one of my books based on my best friend too, though its middle name isn't middle name. That's cool, Tion. How you pronounce that name, man? Let's call it Ranger. Let's call you Ranger.
And don't let me interrupt with those if you've got a thought. I'm putting those up so that people are heard and stuff, and we can comment, and you can always comment after you finish if you want to complete your thought. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Don't be
shy.
Like
don't be shy, guys. Please engage with us.
Oh, are you sure now? Are you sure?
Wonder how Julius inks look. All right, you guys want to see? I'll show you. I'll admit it's pretty good. I gotta admit it's pretty good. Here you go.
Oh, hey, you're moving quick too.
Yeah, there you go.
My voice squeaked on that one. Wow. So impressed. Woo.
Thank you, man. I gotta admit, I'm impressed myself. Damn, I can't believe it. But you know what it is?
You didn't know.
It's the conversation. It's the not focusing too much on like getting it right, and talking helps. It's kind of weird. It's weird. It's kind of weird how that works, huh?
Well, water flows.
Yeah, water flows, exactly. Water flows.
Sort of our little theme we got going here tonight. Yeah. And that's one of the things I tried to I just try to instill in people is to think before you ink. Like I'll look over, like when I used to ink full pages when I was doing the hustle and grind and the deadlines on superhero books, I'd get this page. It's crazy amount of panels and hatching and all this stuff. And you're like, where do I even start? And I would normally just stare at the page for like a half hour before I started. And I would just look it over and I would basically map out my plan of attack. And like I'd speed through my 4 to 8 hours, however long that page was going to take. Like I would almost imagine like, okay, I'm going to hit that with a pen, that with a ruler. I'm going to do that. And then while that's drying, I'm going to jump over there and do that. And then when that's happening, and I would think out the entire thing. And then I would stop thinking. When pen hit paper, it was just put on a movie, put on TV show, get mindless somehow, music, just don't think about the art at all. Just start moving through it. And then before you know it, 4 to 8 hours has passed and your page is done.
Yeah, that's interesting you say that, because that's exactly how I approach when I lay out my panels. When I'm staring at the blank page and I'm going, okay, how is this story going to start? Like, what's the first panel it's going to be? And I don't know. And you're right. You're absolutely right. You think about it for a while, and then all of a sudden you just say, oh, yeah, I'm just going to start chicken scratching. And I start chicken scratching, kind of almost like mindless, just going crazy like this. And then eventually I'll see a shape of something. And then I'm like, okay. And then I get a thicker pencil and I start adding the thicker lines. And the next thing I know, I have a pose. I'm like, oh, okay. All right. And then I erase it. And I go, okay, I got my first panel. It's the middle panel. Draw the first the white, like it's a white panel, for instance, white panel out, draw the image, and I go, okay, what's going to come before that and what's going to come after that? And then I build from there. And you're right. I instead of a movie, I listen to music. So I know a couple weeks ago Wednesday graced us with his presence. And it brought back, because I'm a huge Misfits fan too. I freaking love the Misfits, and the reason and
Nice.
how I got exposed to them was, I'll tell you a funny story. I was hanging out with my friends, and one of my one of a mutual friend came over to the house. His name is Manson. We used to call him Manson because he was a huge Marilyn Manson fan. He just wore everything Marilyn Manson. And he was a drummer for a band. And he came over and he said, "Hey, I have an extra ticket for the Misfits. Who wants to come with me?" And of
Whoa.
course, I had no idea who they were. I had no idea who they were at that point. I was like, "What the hell? I ain't gonna go." But then my friends who were there were like, "Oh, I can't go, man, because I got work the next day." And the other ones, "Oh, I can't go. I gotta go home. My girlfriend's waiting for me. Whatever." And they're like, "Come on, Julio. Come on, man. Like, let's go, dude. Like, it's a free ticket. It's a free show. What's there to lose?" And I was like, "All right, fine. It's gonna freaking." And I was like, I was going there like, "Ah, man, I can't believe I'm doing this. I don't even like freaking punk music." And uh, the first band came on. Whatever. It was cool. I was like, okay, that was cool. That was all right. Still kind of stupid. I kind of wish I would have gone home instead. And then Jerry Only came out, and then Doyle came out, and then Robo. I think Robo was the drummer for that night,
Nice.
and they played Static Age. The first song they played was Static Age,
Oh, excellent.
and I swear to you, man, when I heard that song, Static, 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 I was like, oh my god, this is fucking awesome. This is fucking great. Oh, and then I turn around. I was in front, so I turn around and I see the whole crowd it was like a wave, just everyone was just like going crazy, and I was like, oh man, this is freaking insane. And then the next song I think was Last Caress, and
Oh,
after that,
wow.
man, yeah, they play the classics. I got lucky that night, and here's the kicker. It was right around the time when Joey Ramone passed away. So
Oh, okay.
it was like maybe a month or a few weeks after he passed away. So it was fresh news. The freaking remaining members of the Ramones came out and they fucking played Ramones songs.
Damn.
The
That's an
I'm
epic
telling you, man,
night.
I was the luckiest. After the show, I hugged my friend Manson. I was like, dude, thank you, thank you for convincing me to come to the show, because now I get the hype. Now I understand why everyone loves that fucking shirt, that skull shirt that I see everywhere, and I have no idea what that was. And now I understand why everyone loves the Misfits. Like it was like it was the first time I heard kind of like 50s doo-wop rock and roll, but with
Yeah.
like these like very dark twisted lyrics. So it was like, wow, this was
Yeah, it's
amazing. And of
almost
course,
like, go ahead.
no, and then of course, I learned about Danzig afterwards, because I had no idea that Danzig was the mastermind behind all those songs. And of
Hmm.
course, I found out about how they broke up and all that stuff. But I'm telling you, man, I was the luckiest kid at that time. I was like, Manson, thank you, man. I really have no idea how how thankful I am that you exposed me to this band, especially at this night I got to see the fucking Ramones, and that was the one band I wanted to see. When I first got exposed to the Ramones when I was 15, and so when Joey Ramone died, I was like, damn. I was like, there goes my chance to watch the Ramones. And so it was a treat, man. It was like the universe was saying, "Oh, don't worry, Julio. Here, we'll make sure you get something special." And it was great, man. It was a great night. So I put on some Misfits. Going back to, what I listen to when I draw, Misfits and Funkadelic. Those two
Oh,
bands are
nice.
what I listen to when I draw. Because
Nice.
Funkadelic, man, whew, if you guys don't know Funkadelic, you should check out Funkadelic, specifically Maggot Brain. The song Maggot Brain. Woo! You guys want to be blown? Your mind blown? Listen to Maggot Brain.
We should have talked about that earlier. I could have dropped the link in the chat.
You could have. That's right.
Yeah, I don't remember. I don't remember which song was the first Misfit song I heard, but I do remember it was in my friend's van in high school, and we were just racing around faster than we should have and driving around dangerously. and he was like, "Put that tape in." I was like, "What's this?" And I think Astro Zombies came on, and I was just like,
Ooh,
"Drive
Astro
faster."
Zombies. That's cool.
And
yeah, that's a wicked. That's a great song right there.
You know what? I changed that. It was where Eagles Dare.
Ooh, that's even
That's
better.
what it was. Yeah.
That's even better.
And then when
How's that
Collections or whatever it was got to Astro Zombies, then I was like, yeah, okay, this is the greatest band ever. I'm hooked. I'm convinced. And then again, telling my friend, just drive faster. Keep driving fast and drive faster. I'm going to catch up on some comments here.
Go for it.
We got an answer, Julius. It's tie
what was
on.
it?
Tie on.
Wait.
Because I was saying tie ion. That's what I kept saying, and he was like, "You're saying it wrong."
No, Wing Chun. It was Wing Chun. It was Wing Chun. It's the that's the style when you use your fist. That's what it is. It's not tie. I was like tie on. No, I can't.
No, we were trying to figure out how to say Ty Ion's name, but now we have two answers. No, now we have two answers. Both mysteries taken care of. He says it's not a real name, so pronounce it however you like. I was just giving Ryan crap. Oh, I see. He's just giving. Okay, you're out of here. Out of here. Get out of here.
All right, tie on. I'm gonna tie on my shoes.
Tie Ion with the heat. Going out against those Hot Topic people. Let's be honest, a lot of people who wore the skull shirt never heard a single song.
Yeah, I will agree with that. I've met plenty of people who are like, "Oh, I love the Misfits. So what's your favorite song?" I'm like, "What? What's that?" I was like, "I just like the shirt. I just like the skull." It's like, "Oh, okay, poser."
Which old man me is fine with that stuff, but young me would have been like, "Get out of here, man! Looking for trouble."
I'm still like that. Poser. Don't be a poser.
Ferris Bar asking if this is Ultra Draw or Universal. Tonight we are using Ultra Draw Black India ink from Pitograph. Nice. And it's coming out nice and dark here. We do a little zoom up. You can see the wet spots in there with the eyes, so I don't want to.
Lovely.
I'm gonna let that dry for a minute, and then we will get back to it. And then Simonin7 says, "Tie on the Wing Chun master." Tyon says, "Can I stay or should I still leave?" No, you can stay. Whatever.
You can stay, man. Come on, Tyon.
You're all right, buddy. So, like I was saying earlier, we're going to get back to this inking. I had broken up the hair into bigger chunks, like I said, all that. We're going to do the details, but I want to do another peek at Ghetto Dragon. Oh, look at me. I'm on the wrong page because my thumbs are fat and stupid. All right, so we are at 25 backers, 17 days left. Oh, I'm sorry, 26 backers. You got another backer.
We got a contribution. Yeah.
Nice.
Right. Thanks, guys.
537. 17 days left. And just got another backer. 107% of the $500 flexible goal. Now remember, people, just because somebody's met their goal, that's just the initial. That's just the start. That's just the wheels are starting to roll. You still got to share. You still got to tweet this out. And I realized earlier we didn't play the video. Do you want me to play the video?
If you like, sure. Why not?
What do you guys say? You guys want to see the video? I'm going to play the video. We're going to do it. Here we go.
Welcome to the Ghetto Dragon, Book 1, No Good Deed, a 60-plus page story by a young man named Matt Guerra, who saves an underage girl from being kidnapped by a heartless, gruesome gang named Los Valientes, who will stop at nothing to protect their street cred. Follow Matt as he pays the consequences of his good deed with his fists,
causing those valientes to turn their sights on his family. Does our hero back down, or does he stand his ground? Join us in this martial arts adventure that involves action, drama, a little romance, and tragedy. Follow Julius Freeman on Twitter and Facebook for the latest updates. Also, check out his YouTube channel and subscribe where you can join him in exploring the rich history behind the creation of the Ghetto Dragon. Help make it happen for the Ghetto Dragon. Book 1, no good deed. You won't regret it.
Awesome.
Thank you, man. Appreciate that. Appreciate the kind words.
Now, who did the voiceover?
Yours truly.
Nice. That's what I wanted to hear.
Yeah. I wanted to get that 90s trailer guy in the world where the man and the woman get together and they join forces, that kind of stuff.
You nailed it. No, it was great.
Thanks, man.
First time I heard it, I was like, this is awesome. And then, of course, as soon as we moved on with the ink along, I was like, we forgot to play the video.
It's all good. It's all good.
But we're going to take a look at some of the perks here, too. Sorry, go ahead. What you got?
Yeah, I wanted to give an update on that particular perk, the PDF copy perk. I know I put down the black and white version. It's going to be the color version now. So if you get this perk, it's going to be the colored version I'm not going to raise the price or anything. It's going to remain $3 because I'm a believer that if it's a digital copy, it should be a little bit cheaper than, the physical copy. I hate it when I downloaded the Marvel app years ago and I was like, oh, great. We get, $2, $1 Marvel comics. I was like, the same as a print. What the hell is this crap? So same price,
I agree.
Colored version of the PDF copy. So there you go, guys. There's the update for the. I'm gonna go on my campaign probably later tonight or tomorrow, and then I'm gonna leave an update on the campaign so that way people who go on the campaign site will see that the PDF copy will be a colored version, not the black and white version.
Awesome! Look at that. I wish I had the breaking news and announcement kind of thing that we could celebrate that. But that's awesome to hear. I'm willing to bet you're still going to have some people that want black and white because it also does look awesome in black and white.
Yeah, it does.
So
it does.
To be prepared for a little pushback from some of the black and white fans.
Hey, and if you guys still want the black and white copy, hey, by all means, just let me know when you back it. Email me or message me on Twitter saying, hey, I got your PDF copy, but I want a black and white copy, and then I'll be more than happy to provide that to you as well.
And I am going to jump to the chat for 1 second because I want to catch up on these. Then we'll go through the perks, and then we won't be so far behind. So Faris asks, Ryan, what are your thoughts on Sumi Ink? It's where he has a follow-up. It's really good and the darkest ink I've found. Yeah, Sumi ink is really, really dark. And a lot of times, especially when people are using it in its traditional Japanese sense, they aren't erasing afterwards. So it remains really, really dark. My problem with it as an inker, first of all, I haven't used it in probably over 15 years. And one of the reasons was that it tended to be, I couldn't get the right consistency for the comic kind of inking I wanted to do. It was either too runny for the nib or too thick for the brush. And at some point I was just like, okay, I'm done with this. Cause I even made my own Sumi ink once. That's really a fun kind of process and makes you, I don't know, kind of feel like you're calling back on this older traditional thing from this, forgotten era. But even though people still do it all the time, every day. But it's such an old, craft and technique. It's kind of fun to make your own ink sometimes. So I do recommend it. Ferris, if you've got a brand you think I should try, I'm totally down to try it. We should. That's another kind of video I want to make, is us going through various tools and things I either have never tried or haven't tried in a long time. And then people are having fun with the. Oh wait, sorry, no. Jumping back even further, RT Bear says that inking works better the less you think about it. He describes it like a musician He describes it like a musician that it's performing a piece like a jazz jam. Yes, definitely.
Yeah, I like that. That's a good analogy there.
Art is my grand mentee, if you want to make up words there. He
Art's
was
great.
he was the mentor to Danny Mickey. Danny Mickey learned to ink from him, and I learned to ink from Danny Mickey. So,
Oh, I see. I see. A little third degree of separation there, huh?
yeah. And all right, I thought I saw. It's so weird doing this on the phone, trying to scroll carefully so it doesn't shake my camera. Let's see. Tyon says, Randy, I'm lucky I'm fat. Band shirts never fit me, so I never had to worry about making the choice. Always cracking me up. All right. He also says, I still say that we need to find Ryan Squid Ink since he wants to go old school. All right, but you got to harvest that. I want to see your GoPro video of you going down to the beach and collecting it and harvesting it, and we'll put it on the channel, and I'll use the ink. But that's the only way. And Ferris Jabbar follow up on the ink comments. He said, I let it evaporate for hours to thicken the ink. Yeah, that's a trick you can do even with jarred inks that you buy. If it's a little too watery for you, too much moisture in there, go ahead and just loosen the cap, like a couple twists, doop, 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 loosen the cap, and let it sit for a few days and check it out.
Damn, that's amazing, man. So there's techniques to inks too, huh? To like the actual ink itself.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Like, because you're going to find inks that don't flow off the brush as much and all that. You got to find the right mix, especially if you're doing deadline work. You know, you got to put that on top of it. But if you're doing indie work, I recommend everyone just like experiment. Just keep experimenting until you're like, you'll know when the tool and the ink work for you. And be like, all right, this is mine. Works for me. Because even people trying my same tools, my friends will use the same exact tools. And my buddy Joe Weems, he can't use my ink. Same pen, we'll use the same pen, and he's like, your ink's too thin. And I'm like, your ink's too thick. I can't use it because even the way our hands use the pressure, like we apply it differently. So it's even, it gets super technical when you start breaking it all down, which I love to do.
Wow, that's amazing. I had no idea, no clue. See, learn something every day.
But anyways, I interrupted. What I want to really talk about is some of these perks that you've got, because we just learned that the PDF copy is now going to be color, full color.
Be in color, yes. Will be. So the 7 who claimed it will get their color version of the PDF of the Ghetto Dragon No Good Deed Book 1.
Awesome. I guarantee that's gonna be going way up. I mean, come on, people, it's $3 for the PDF copy.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can't go wrong with $3. I mean, that's a steal for sure. And I know times are tough, so that's why I did it for $3, because I mean, I like I said earlier, I'm a believer that digital copies should be a little cheaper, because first, you don't need paper. You know, the distribution is easy, it's just a click away, so it doesn't take much, you know, to deliver a PDF copy. So that's why I kept it at $3. And I'm going to keep it at $3 even with the colored version.
That's awesome. You really can't go wrong. I would pay $3 for a physical copy or a digital copy of just the preview pages you've shown. Like, that's worth $3 alone.
Thanks,
you
man.
know,
appreciate that. Appreciate that.
So get on this. Like, if you're tired of me charging you $20 for a Hammerella book and that Rob Geronimo guy doing the same thing, like, you're tired of us.
Dude, your hammer, don't sell yourself short. Your Hammerella book is dope as fuck, and it deserves the money that you're charging for it. I mean, that's a given. So don't sell yourself short.
Don't sell yourself short, buddy. You're on my channel. I'm the boss.
All right.
I'll kick you off and sell your book without you. Which I would do. I would keep pushing it.
I believe
it's that cool. So tell me about this Jacinto cover. This Kim Jacinto.
Kim Jacinto. For those of you who don't know, he is a marble artist, and I worked with Kim Jacinto years ago. Actually, he was supposed to draw the original Ghetto Dragon story that I wanted to submit to Image Comics about probably 10 years ago now. Yeah, 2010 or 2009, roughly around there. We were on our way. We had about 14 pages done, complete. I'm talking done, like colored, inked, lettered, done. And the goal was to get the first issue done, submit it to Image Comics, and if they approved it, well, actually, even before that, we will still continue producing the book as we waited for the
Okay.
yes, we want to print it, or no, we don't want to print it, that kind of deal. So we're still going to continue producing it, but then the studio he worked for, they pretty much robbed his money. Like they took his money, and
Oh no.
so I couldn't double pay him, I guess, because he told me, dude, I didn't get any of the money that you paid the studio. I was like, what?
Oh
You're supposed to get that
no.
money. They because the deal was pay half first for the whole book. So it was about I think it was a total of $600 for the first half, and the second half when it's done. So I was like, okay, that's a great deal. That's a good deal. And Kim Jacinto's from the Philippines, by the way. And so
Nice.
he was starting out. It was his first project, so he was relatively cheap. Not so much now, because now he's working for Marvel Comics, and now he could charge whatever he wants, and rightfully so, because he is really extremely, even back then 10 years ago, he was extremely talented, and I was very excited about the prospect of, like, you know what, I have a feeling Image is going to say yes to this book because of Kim Jacinto's colors and his not his colors, his pencils. And thanks, Ferris. Yeah, it is a great cover. So you have the choice of 2 perks when you get the Kim Jacinto perk, which will get this cover. So the book 1 will come with this cover, and the second perk will come with Steven Seven's cover, which will be the cover before it. So if you scroll back up, it's that cover.
Yeah, there we
you'll
go.
get that cover. So you have a choice of that, and the goodies that you see in the perks, that's only if I reach the 5,000 stretch goal. So if I reach the 5,000 stretch goal, I will be able to provide you guys with like sticker packets, print, an actual print of these covers, along with the print that Apu Chan drew, which is that right there where your fingers are at, that print right there. So you get the print, you get the Kim Jacinto print, and the Apu Chan print, and then you'll get the will be stickers, and will be stickers, and that'll be if I reach the 5,000 stretch goal, and if not, you still get the book. So it's still a win-win. So even if I don't reach the 5K stretch goal, you will still get your book with that beautiful cover in the front, if you choose that one, or Steven Seven's cover. And Steven Seven, Steven Seven, man, he drew a sketch for me on Twitter. Actually, he sent me this sketch, and I was like, hey, what do you think about this? And I was like, hey, that's a great image. And so I said, hey, well, are you available to draw a finalized cover? I'll pay you. And he's like, yeah, let's talk. So he provided this beautiful cover for me, and of course I paid him his fee, and it was, I mean, look at that. I really love the way the image. I don't know what kind of style that is. It looks like a kind of like almost photorealistic, but not really photorealistic. I don't know what kind of style that you call.
I was trying to figure it out too, because he's definitely taking from like street and car art, but it doesn't look like street and car art. But you can tell he's inspired by that.
Right.
This could be a sticker. Your boy here could be a sticker. Like,
no, you're right. It can be.
That could just be white outline around him, and bam, could be such a rad sticker. It's so graphically appealing.
You're absolutely right.
The whole image.
The whole thing was great. I really loved the way it came out. It was perfect. And the shadow on the bottom between his legs was also a nice touch there too.
And all that, the knives coming in, the shadow, everything about it. The worried
and he's
people,
in between.
like,
he's in between. That's his family. So he's in between his family. He's trapped.
That.
Yeah,
it even tells a story. That's great.
And so he's in between the family
fantastic.
and the threat that's part of the antagonist, in other words, of the story. So he has to literally fight his way out to protect not just his family but himself as well. So so check it out, guys. Give it some love. You won't regret getting a copy of this story. Thank you, Randy. I appreciate that. You just got yourself a colored copy of the PDF of Ghetto Dragon.
Thank you, Randy. Randy's a great supporter, great friend, also full of great ideas. If he ever comes at you with an idea, think it over, because they're really, he's got great ideas for campaigns and perks. He's always chiming in.
Is he doing his own thing? Is he doing his own project? Because if that's the case, he should.
I don't believe he's a creator. I think he's just a good fan, a good friend, and a good buddy to the scene.
Very cool. Very cool.
Which we're lucky to have.
Yeah, the 1-2 punch.
Ahead. Yeah,
the 1-2 punch tier. So this is going to be just available for the campaign. I do plan on leaving up the campaign for in demand after the 30 days are up. So this right here, guys, this second one here is a collection of the short stories that I produced over the 10 years when I tried to do an online comic. Originally, I wanted to do an online comic version of the Ghetto Dragon, and the idea was to get it out there for free, so that way readers can, get to know the character, and then down the line, hopefully, do a crowdfunding campaign. But I was bleeding money. I was bleeding too much money, paying for the different artists. The idea was to hire different artists per different short story. And then eventually compile them together into one book. But again, like I said, I was bleeding too much money out, and I thought, no, this is not going to work for me. But I had produced enough to compile them anyway for this campaign, so it worked. It kind of worked out in a way, but but it didn't work out to my favor in terms of getting it out there for people to read. But it still worked out anyway, and like I said, for the campaign. So this is the compilation of those short stories put together for the first time, and the only time, because this is the only time I'm ever going to do this. I'm not going to produce that ever again after this campaign is over. And the cover is drawn by a good friend of mine named Jose Espinosa, and like that, this cover, man, you can't really see it here, but this all that composition back there is full of detail. When you zoom in closer and you see all what's going on down on the ground there, it's freaking like insane.
Yeah,
just how much
it's loaded with detail down there.
Yeah, and I wish he would have given me more, but he did it for free. He did it for free as a favor. So he's like, this is what you got, bro. So take it or leave it. So then I'll take it. Don't worry, I'll take it. So I took it, and so you'll get that special cover. There you go, Orange County, downtown Santa Ana.
Downtown, baby.
Represent.
I know it. I know that.
And so that's the second book you'll get with that tier. So you'll get the book 1, and you'll get the second book with the book 1 cover with Kim Jacinto or Steven Seven. But after this, that's it, guys. I'm not gonna release it ever again. So it's only for this campaign. So if you want a collectible, that's gonna be a collectible there, because I'm a big fan of limited print runs. I know that's a little, depending on who you ask, that's a little selfish. But growing up collecting comic books, I've always liked the idea of like, oh no, they stopped printing that book, so what you see is what you get. And that's it, so I always like that. Can you tell me about the Chronicles Collection? I just picked up the book, an extra collection. So the Chronicles Collection is, like I said, it's a compilation of all my short stories. So there's one drawn by a friend of mine named Arturo Morales. It was a really well done chapter. The style I didn't really like, but when I look at it now, I realized I was a little spoiled in terms of quality work. But Arturo just had a great eye for sequential art, and I'm sorry that he kind of disappeared. I don't know what happened to him. I lost contact with him, but he drew a chapter, and then Afu Chan drew a chapter, and then another artist that I met online from London. I forget his name. I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but he drew a chapter as well. So it's just a short story, close-ended short stories compiled together, and with extra like kind of extra pages in the end of that book, that unfinished chapters, I guess, and then of course a little bit of backstory as to how it came about. And and like I said, so it's only available for this campaign. I'm not going to reprint it. I'm not going to it ever again. So it's just a one-time deal here for the campaign. So if you want to get your copy while you can, because after it's on demand, it won't be available anymore.
We're gonna keep talking about it. I pulled the tablet away because I'm scrolling super fast and I didn't want to be scrolling for the camera. So Ferris asked, check
Thank you,
that
Max.
out. He wanted me to zoom in on the right image, which was that black and white cover with the downtown water tower. But is there a large version of that? I'm not seeing that on here.
No. Would you be able to share? Will I be able to share my screen? Because I'll share my screen.
I can't from the mobile.
Okay,
I know it gives you the option on your end, but nothing pops up on my end.
Okay. Well then,
I mean, we'll try it. Try it, maybe.
No. Actually, I do. No. If you want to see a close up, go on my YouTube channel, and I think episode 2 or 3 of Talking Comics, I talk about the history of the Chronicles in one of the videos. I think it's episode 3, I want to say, and I do actually show a close up of that image of that cover in the video. So if you want to check that out, just go on Julius Freeman Comics on YouTube, and you'll find it there, and you'll be able to see it closely, because I zoom in on the image and I talk about how my friend drew it and all that stuff. So you can check it out there if you like.
Awesome, good to know. I want to see that too. I'm gonna check out the video. I need to catch up on your channel.
It is a great cover, man. Like I was really grateful that he did that. I wish I could draw, and I don't have a story I want to tell at this point. Well, I mean, you can still write, bro. Nothing wrong with that. Just write it. Just write it out. Right. Hire someone. Find someone. There's always a way. There's always a way to get your stories out there. Always.
So Ferris is really in love with that black and white piece.
All right, hey, that's great. That's great, because I me too. I fell in love with it as well. And Jose, my friend Jose, he's one of those talented artists that just didn't want to go for the comic book deal. And I told him, dude, you would be a superstar artist if you got into comics, because you have a distinct style that a lot of people will dig. And he just is like, nah, I'm not. He would just tell me like, no, I don't want to do that. So I was like, okay, cool. That's. I tried, guys. I tried, but he did provide me that cover as a favor. So I'm gonna have it available for the campaign, and I'll probably throw him some cash too if it does do well and by the end of the campaign, because he does deserve it. He's a very talented artist in his own right.
Randy's chiming in one more time. He says music and radio has always been a passion for him. So maybe he needs to tell stories in like a radio, like an old radio style or something,
Like Orson Welles in the War of the Worlds.
That's right.
Yeah.
Scared the crap out of Randy? The public.
Yeah.
First, wash his hands of that image. It's such a good image. He's washing his hands and walking away.
And that's exactly what he did. He's like, this is the only thing I'm going to do for you, bro. So I was like, all right, thanks, bro. Appreciate that.
Hey, shout out your channel one more time. And then later on, I'll go ahead and I will have the link down there below. Cool.
Yeah, Max, it's Julius Freeman Comics. So it's Julius_Freeman_comics. I have a few live streams there now. I had a live stream last night with Matt Krotz, and we had a very interesting conversation about philosophy and comics. And I had so much fun doing that. So I think in the future, with future live streams, I'm going to have guests on the show, because I feel like I could bounce off better with when I talk to someone live, as opposed to just talking by myself, which I don't really like. I'm not a big fan of that. I prefer to bounce off ideas off people. I think I shine better as a host, a YouTuber host, when I have guests on. But yeah, it's Julius Freeman Comics. It's a strictly comic book channel, so I'll be talking about just pure comic books, the medium, the latest news, updates, whatever the case may be. So it's going to be a strictly entertainment channel that's just going to cover comics and maybe movies. Who knows?
Awesome.
I'm thinking about
Love to hear
doing
that.
thing, but yeah,
No, try it
actually,
all out. You know, you gotta.
actually,
That's
no,
the whole thing. Go ahead.
that reminds me. Actually, I am going to do a movie channel. So probably on Fridays, I'm going to have a co-host, a coworker of mine, because he's a huge cinephile, and he and I always talk movies and everything. And so one day, he and I got into a little debate because I told him that I thought Ridley Scott was an overrated director, and he got really upset. He got really upset with me, and he's like, no, man, you're wrong, you're right. And he started pointing out to me why I was wrong. And we talked for a good hour about it, a good hour. It was amazing. And then by the end of it, I was like, hey, you know what? We should record this. We should do a live stream about this. I think this would be a very interesting conversation to have. So our first topic, our first show is going to be in December 4th, Friday. And the topic's going to be underrated directors. That's going to be our first episode topic. Underrated directors don't get the love that they deserve, that kind of are kind of forgotten. And then the week after that, we're going to do overrated directors, which I think that's going to fluff a lot of feathers. So I'm looking forward to that one. We'll see.
No, that's a good way to set that up too. Do the under ones first, and then follow with the heated discussion of the over.
The heated discussion over, and we're toying with the idea of the first half of the show. He and I, go at it, and with the list and our pros and cons. And then we might open up the show, put the link on the chat, and say, hey, who wants to defend their favorite director that we call overrated? Come on the show and see if you can convince us otherwise. So that's going to be a very interesting show. Hopefully it catches on, because it'd be interesting to start up with that kind of.
Yeah, I love that idea. I know already. I got two friends, Spencer Desmond and Jeff Elkins, creators of City of Rot. They're doing their own live thing right now, so they're not here, but they will love that idea for a show.
Oh, all right. Well, then let them know about the show, and then they could listen in, and then if they want, they could hop on, and we'll start the conversation.
Definitely.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, City of Rot, man. City of Rot. What a gnarly book. That looks like a great book. Seriously.
Yep. It's out there, man. They're good friends of mine, so obviously I sound biased, but they're friends of mine because I met them through liking their creative work, so I'm a genuine fan. Cool. And then I became their friend, and I do join them weekly on Tuesday nights over on Death Curse. That link is down below. That's not for the faint of heart. We get really rude and crude and down and dirty over on that channel. It's unlike what we do here, but it's always a good time, and I recommend watching. They're on multiple times, but that's the night that Kevin Castanero and I join in with them. So
cool. All right, I'll check that out.
And let's say what's up to Shogun Ronin Artist. He is my friend James Lee Stone. Ronin? He has been doing amazing fan art for us. I hate to call stuff fan art sometimes because it's just as good or better than what I do. So, but he's been doing some great Hammerella fan art. He dove into the characters from our Gods and Gears book. He's doing all kinds of stuff, just blowing me away every few days.
Yeah, you know what? I think I'll follow him on Twitter. I think I've seen that. I've seen his stuff. Yeah. I think I know who you're talking about. All right. Yeah, I do.
Yeah, he doesn't go by that on Twitter. He goes by, I think it's just his name. I always forget when I'm away from Twitter. Like when I know people's real names, I forget when I'm away from Twitter. I'm like, oh wait, what's he go by on Twitter? Oh look, Ferris is already throwing in for your video here. Underrated director.
Hey, you know what? I'm gonna write that down. I'm gonna write that down because I have been compiling a list, and we're gonna go down the list, and we're gonna name movies and whatnot, and I want to watch their movies as well, especially if I don't see hold on, let me. Oh, they're coming too fast. Hold on.
I want to thank everyone for watching tonight and joining. If you are new to the channel,
Thank you,
Feel
guys.
free to hit like and subscribe. We do this every week. I don't always have a guest. This is my second guest. Last week I had Robert Geronimo, and we were helping to push his project Wirehead. And I'm also on Robert's channel once a week. On Tuesdays, we do, before I go on with Death Curse, we do a draw stream over on Robert's channel. And we usually pick a topic right beforehand, or he picks a topic probably days beforehand, so he's thinking about it, but he doesn't tell us until right before the show.
Ah,
So then we have an hour or two that we dedicate to drawing those topics, and it's usually a good time. We had teeth. Or what was the last one? Last one was jetpacks, and I drew a GI Joe guy. That was really fun.
oh yeah, I saw that. I saw that post. That was a great jetpack. What was it, GI Joe? You
Let's
said?
see. Yeah, it was a Flash from GI Joe. Here, I got him. There he is.
Yeah, that was dope, man. Look at that. That's a beauty.
So that's the color version. I did cheat. The colors were done later. That wasn't done on Robert's show, but that's how it goes sometimes. I'll be doing the same thing with this bad boy later.
Nice.
And we're gonna get back to work on this, and then before we wrap up, we'll go back to finish looking at the campaign. See if we
Very
got
cool.
some more backers for you.
Alex Proyas,
Now-
yes, Alex Proyas is underrated for sure.
Oh
That's for
yeah,
sure.
sorry, I forgot to work. And Ferris snapping back. He's like, "Yeah, Ridley's a genius
Well,
and a
it's up for
trained
debate.
artist also." All right, we'll save that for Julius's channel.
Yeah, subscribe to the channel and keep an eye out for it. And of course, come on and don't be shy to join in if you want.
They don't give me a second. I couldn't think of what the topic was for Robert's draw stream for 1 second. The jetpacks. I couldn't think of it, and they start yelling jetpacks from the chat. Give me 1 second for this old brain to try to remember what happened 2 days ago. So anyways, we are back to the hair. We're going to be going in and doing the fine details of the hair, and then we're going to be signing it and calling it a day. But until then, we still have Julius Freeman, creator of the Ghetto Dragon, with us, and he is brave enough to step into the Ink-along. Pit of Doom, Pit of Despair.
yeah.
I don't know. Arena of Good Times. I don't know. I don't have a name for it yet. We'll come up with something. But thank you for joining in. Not even just thank you for being here and sharing your project with us, but thank you for joining in on the Ink-along.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I when you invited me on your show, I was like, I don't want to just sit there and watch him ink. I want to just talk, wait around. I was like, I gotta engage. I gotta, adapt. I gotta adapt to my, you were gracious enough to invite me on your show, so I had to adapt to your what you were doing. So that was, what, and I love drawing, even though I'm not very good at it. I still love it. It's like a Zen moment for me when I draw. It's like very relaxing for me to just sit here and just, focus on well, I'm not drawing, but I'm inking, which is still fun in any way, but it's still very relaxing for me to just sit here and just focus on a task while my mind, relaxes and kind of thinks about what I need to do for the next day, or what I need to do for my campaign, or how I'm going to approach this, how I'm going to approach that. It's very, very relaxing. Kind of like a Bob Ross type of situation where like, all right, let's just draw a little bit more lines over here, a little bit more circles over there.
Yep.
Happy little feet, happy little eyes over here.
And that's what he was selling, man. He wasn't selling like become a great painter. He was selling this experience that he was having while painting,
Yeah. Bob Ross, man, what a national treasure he was. Well missed.
I agree. Yeah, when I worked at an art store, we had the TV up by the register to sell like promotional VHS tapes and art lessons and things like that. And even as like young, dumb 21-year-old stoner clerks, we'd be like, dude, Bob Ross is the man. We just put the Bob Ross videos on, just be like, dude, he's like cool and smart and funny. And you're like, he'd be awesome at a party. Once he cracked a beer, you'd get like an edgier joke from him. You'd be like, what? Oh, no way. Like, he's always on, like just always awesome.
Absolutely.
All right, I will be getting back to the chat after I finish the hair. So if you have questions, feel free to drop them in or save them till I'm starting to go through. That way I can try to make sure I don't miss it. The dang thing scrolls so fast when I'm looking at it. I used to wonder what people were talking about. Like Samedi would be streaming and he's like, "Oh, I'm reading the chat," and he's like, it's gone." I'm like, just scroll back, dummy. Why can't you scroll back and see it? And then now that I'm doing it, I'm like, "Oh, you can't, so hard to read it and get back. How does anyone do this?" Of course, I keep all that freaking out in my head, quiet. I don't, nobody knows that I'm freaking out because cool.
It's the best thing. Always best to keep the poker face.
Oh yeah, this is how I got here. So what I like to do, and again, you guys don't have to follow my hair. I filled in a lot more black than I planned on doing, but we're going to be creating this white highlight on the highest point of the arc on this hair. I said arcitich in a weird way. I meant to say arc of this hair. So we're going to create this highlight here, and we're going to have it be similar over on this side here. So we create that highlight by pushing these black shapes against each other. So here, out of the part of his hair, we have, this sort of shadowed edge, and that goes into the part, and then you got that shadowed edge there. And see, again, this highlight just going to run from, let's see, the highlight's going to run from here to about here, and it's going to be right on that bend, that arch of the hair. That's the highest point. That's where the light's hitting it the most. And sometimes you can't tell, but once we lay in this other chunk of black and we push against that white and create that highlight, you'll be like, "Oh, I see it. I see it now." So I just kind of flick my wrist like this, and you can do that with your pen or your brush. Doesn't matter what you're using, or your digital Apple Pencil or stylus, depending on if you're doing this digital, because we have people joining in. All kinds of tools and techniques are coming our way these days. It's fantastic.
Do you use digital at all, or is it just your strictly traditional?
I do digital now, probably about 10 to 15% of my workload, creatively and professionally. I do digitally now. I was strict against it for a very long time.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Yeah, like if you go on I think my DeviantArt page, it says like traditional artist, like as my like what I was. And like I used to be so hardcore against it that like some of my fans had this quote from me in their comment section, because you used to have your name on there, and you could put a quote that was permanently in your messages and stuff. And I said, like, let's stop calling what we do traditional inking traditional. Let's just call it inking, because everyone else is using like a computer. I forget what my quote was, but it was basically like, let's just keep calling it inking, because that's what it, like, we don't have to add traditional to the beginning of it, because it's the only place you're using ink. Like I was real snotty about it, and
right.
Yeah, it was so much again. But that was also because that was at the time the tools sucked. I didn't like anyone's digital lines. I didn't like anything I was seeing.
Oh, I see. Yeah, right. Because whenever anything is new, it does take a while for it to catch up with the traditional tools. Yeah, you're right about that.
Yeah, and then cut to 2015, and then we're doing the lap around Target, and I'm like, well, I don't know. They don't have popcorn here anymore. I'm bored. I'm like, oh look, they got an Apple tablet set up with one of their pencils. I'm gonna try it out. The first thing I did was wonder why they called their digital program Procreate. I was like, that's a weird thing to call your program, but your app, but whatever. I'll try it out. And then cut to like 30 minutes later, my wife's like, come on, let's go. I'm like, no, I'm creating art with a computer.
That's awesome.
And they were like, we sell this, bro. I was like, all right.
All right, here's my wallet.
Yeah.
Take my money.
So, and now I'm developing my own brushes for Procreate and everything, which aren't quite ready for other people, but they will be soon.
Cool. Very cool. So when did you decide to produce your own stuff? You know, when you, I know you said you started inking and you were inking other people's stuff. When was the moment when you're like, you know what? I'm gonna try this out on my own. I'm gonna see if I could do this myself. In terms of like drawing and writing and whatnot. When was the moment when that happened for you?
Well, that was always the goal. Like my,
Oh, okay.
like I had a couple different goals. Like obviously as a little kid, it was like, oh, I just want to work at Marvel and draw the Spider-Man. You know, I want to draw Wolverine and the Spider-Man and that's it. And then when I got into my early 20s, I was working at the art store and thought I was cool, edgy punk kid. It was like I definitely didn't want to do like corporate comics. I was like, no, man, I want to do like my own stuff, like edgy indie dark stuff, and you know this or that. And then of course Danny Mickey came in, and I started working with him on Spawn pretty much right away. But I was still doing indie stuff. Like I'd always, I mean, from the time I was a kid, I was creating my own comics. And even when I was working on Spawn, my friends and I were constantly producing indie work. And it was, I sort of saw it as like, oh, okay, so this is still, to like, I justified it to myself that like I wasn't working for a big corporation. I hadn't sold out. Todd McFarlane was a self-made millionaire who had come from nothing and done it on his own. So therefore it was okay. Like, you know, as a kid, I had all these like dumb rules. So I had to like, then I had to justify working for the millionaire. Oh, it's like so dumb. Where like older me's like, dude, take the job, you idiot. Like, we're even having this debate for, you moron. But that's what happens when you're young too, and you get in these situations. I wasn't ready. I wasn't smart enough or experienced enough to know this stuff. So that's how I thought. So I was like, okay, cool. And then I'll use this knowledge. Anything I learn, I'll take back to my friends and our indie stuff. So that's what I'll be. I'll be this like, I'll go in, I'll take one for the team. I'll sell out and make a reputable reputation and a good living. And but at the same time, it was anything I learned. Like I met up with Brian Haberlin and Dan Kemp and Brian Kemp and the guys that were coloring Spawn at the time, and Arcia Rosagar and friends of mine from back then that were kind of on the cutting edge of taking what the digital guys had learned and adapting it. Because again, this is 20 years ago. So so then I would be like, oh my gosh, I learned this about digital coloring. And I would go back to my friends. Or if I got the chance to meet a writer or somebody of, you know, some sort of stature and experience, I would milk them for a bunch of information and then be able to go back to my friends and be like, all right, this is what I learned about script writing. So when we're doing our book about the devil and marijuana and all this evil stuff I want to do comic books about, like we knew how to do it professionally, you know? So that was like the main goal. Like I didn't actually see myself like ending up at DC or doing anything like that. That all just happened. And the whole time I've just making my crappy indie books on the side and just hoping that someday the comic book industry will be making tons of money because of all these movies and Hollywood and all this stuff. Again, it's 20 years ago, you guys. I was young. I was naive. Yeah. It had all just started. I didn't know, you know, I didn't know what was coming down the road, but I'm just glad that I've always been creating my own indie stuff. Yeah. But that doesn't answer your question. I started rambling because I'm inking and talking. Like, yes, blah, blah, blah. I did always make my own stuff, but it was when I was done at Valiant a couple of years ago, I kind of hadn't really liked my experience there. Met great fans and friends. That side of it was fantastic, but working with them, I didn't like. And I was like, this has got to be the breaking point for me. I've left the industry a couple times. Like I left DC And I was like, that's it. I'm done. I'm doing my indie book, Death Betty. I'm just going to focus on indie comics. And then Valiant came knocking. And I was like, damn, Valiant's pretty cool. They're kind of new and hip at the time. So I was like,
Right.
all right, I'll do that. And then I was kind of got a little burnt out dealing with them. And I was like, nope, I should have learned. Just do my own thing. Do my own thing. It's been the thing for years that every time like a deal got, just bungled at one of the big two or some bigger publisher, I just always found myself like falling into this like super creative moment of creating my own thing, where it was like, this is where I'm supposed to be. Like, I need to be, just doing my own thing. And so yeah, I guess it was like 3 years ago, and Dean and I submitted Gods and Gears to Alterna. This bad boy here, Gods and Gears. We were doing it on our own, and I guess it was almost 4 years ago now. I don't know. Yeah, 3 years ago. And Pete put out his newsprint line. He started the newsprint line, and I was just like, okay, what? Do a newsprint? We got to submit to this guy. And so we submitted, and that was a bit of a rocky road. A lot of people think, it's all easy peasy, and no, we had some back and forth. It was not, that book was not greenlit from the get-go.
Wow, no way.
Our pitch was off. I think I ended up submitting it 3 times.
Wow.
Maybe it
Peter
was
doesn't
just
mess
twice.
around, does he? Peter doesn't mess around, does he?
No, he does not mess around. Super nice guy, super helpful about everything. But yeah, and I've had multiple projects. I've had more rejected from him than accepted. And that's another thing I try to tell people too. Like, don't let a rejection letter be anything other than another email you get. Give it a moment. You can have that moment of like, I got punched in the gut. But just like getting punched in the gut, you lose your breath. It hurts for a minute. After a couple minutes, you're breathing fine again. So it's this is, we heal quick. And the more times you do it, the more rejections you get. You get so strong. I've had so many rejections. And like,
absolutely. No, you're right. You're absolutely right. I'm right about that. I read Stephen King's On Writing, and that's exactly what he says. He in the book, he said that he had a stack this big of rejection letters before he finally got his yes, we'll publish this novel. But he had this thick right here. He said he had to get one of those big giant nails to nail on the wall, so he could put them on his wall as like a trophy, of like a badge of honor that I actually worked my ass off to get where I'm at today. And so that's great, man. Yeah, you're absolutely right. The more they knock you down, the stronger you should get. Absolutely.
And it's like it's so cheesy to say sometimes, but it's just like that quote in Batman. It's like, why do we fall down, Master Bruce, so we can get back up again? Huh? Want a grilled cheese? And it's super cheesy, but you're like, that's it. And you gotta be like that. You gotta adopt that mentality. If you're not that type of person, you can thicken your skin. You can get a little tougher, Right. I see it, I especially see it in people that come to open mic with Peter Samedi week after week, or they've come a bunch of times. And the first time it was, hi, I'm so-and-so. My book is called this. And then the fourth time they're on, they're like, yo, my name's Johnny Comic Maker. My book's called Awesome Comic. It's available now on Indiegogo. And they've just got this confidence. And it's that same thing with rejections, where it's, it's like going live and being worried about flubbing up. It's like, no, it's going to happen, but just go out there and get your scabs, get your bruises, toughen up.
Absolutely. Yep. You're absolutely right about that. And you're right. In the sandpaper and carrot, that is true, Colin Swinburne. That will happen. I've been trying to
you don't have to read them. I'm just posting them. So go ahead.
No,
keep talking.
I've been trying to get into the industry for 10 years. So you can imagine my frustration. See, you got to work for Valiant. You got to experience what I've always wanted to experience. But of course, afterwards, I hear these horror stories of like, oh man, it was terrible working for that company. And then in hindsight, I'm like, maybe it would have been better if I if I didn't get those those breaks that a lot of writers talk about when, oh yeah, I produced this and I got my break. That's when I got my first DC gig or my first Dynamite gig or whatever the case may be. And so for 10 years, man, I've been working my ass off to try to get something done. And yeah, you're right. Rejection after rejection. Actually, no rejection, just not a response. I would submit stories, and I never got a response ever. Not one email, not one letter, nothing. So I was like, okay, they obviously didn't like it. So I had to keep trying. And thank you, Colin Swinburne. Yes, you will think it's cool after you read it, and you'll want more. Want more. Like the cockroach in not that you're a cockroach, just saying, like the cockroach in Men in Black. Remember that scene when he's like, give me some sugar water and sugar. And he's like, more.
Yes.
More.
Yeah.
That's what you'll be like, more Ghetto Dragon.
Mm-hmm.
Rejection letter means you went further than 90% of the people that start making. You're absolutely right, Tyon.
Look at that.
Absolutely right.
Look at that. Learning and growing together. Go ahead.
Growing and growing together. And I kept pushing, I kept pushing. There was times where I wanted to quit. Don't get me wrong. There was times where I was like, maybe I'm not cut out for this. Maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe that's what it was. I was like, maybe I'm just not a good writer. Maybe maybe this is not my calling. I had days like that sometimes where I would just, I know I'm just going to delete all my shit. I'm just going to say, forget it, never not look at it again. But there was that little voice in my head going, you're going to regret it. You're going to regret it. Don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do it. Just keep going. Just keep pushing. Keep going. Keep going. Don't give up, because the moment you give up, it could have been like, like those crazy freaking stories where like, oh yeah, if he just would have kept going for another month, he would have got his break. So I was like, I'm not going to be that guy. I'm going to try it. So when crowdfunding came into the picture and I saw that, oh, wow, actually people give money to crowdfunding campaigns. Oh, okay. So this is the final frontier for indie creators. It's a double-edged sword in a lot of ways, because I would imagine if you're a writer for a publishing company like DC or Marvel or Image Comics, the advertising is done for you in a lot of ways. They take care of all that for the most part. But with crowdfunding, it's all you. It's all the creator. And so now we definitely have to step up our game for sure. So that's why I say it's it's a final frontier. Now it's all up to us. The people get to choose to want to produce your book or not, as opposed to a group of like 6 or 7 people who sit around a table and say, oh yeah, this one would be pretty good. Oh, let's give it a shot. Or for instance, Peter Simeti. Nothing against Peter Simeti. I think he's doing fantastic work as an indie publisher. He's done a lot of good things for indie publishers. But Peter Simeti knows what he likes, and he picks what he likes. And there's nothing wrong with that, because he's the owner of his publishing company, and he has every right to do that. But with crowdfunding, it's all democratic, I guess you could say. It's all democratic. So. You have to, campaign your idea to people to convince them, hey, trust me, if you give me some of your money, you're going to get a fucking kick-ass product, and you're going to keep coming back for more. Hopefully, if the writer or the artist does their job and not only deliver on their promise of a product, but also deliver on a great story. And so for those who are struggling, for those who are out there who are having doubts, just put on your bootstraps, man, and take it day by day. Take it day by day and just keep on going until you get there. And you will get there if you keep pushing yourself. So that's my
keep on keeping on.
Keep on trucking, as the saying goes, right?
Yeah, what I like about sorry, go ahead, brother.
No, go ahead. You go ahead.
I was just gonna say just kind of reflect on what you just said. What I like about the Indiegogo or Kickstarter, just the crowdfunding experience in general, is, say a reader goes to Indiegogo Yeah, things depend on trending, but people search. I search both ways sometimes. I search with alphabetical, what's trending, just to kind of see what I'm missing and to cover the ground. So I know other people do that as well. And when you go there, you're going to have 25-year veteran of DC Comics, Ethan Van Sciver selling his book. And then you're going to have people who, hey, this is my very first comic ever. And you're scrolling past them together. You get to, you're looking at that. So everyone's basically on the same shelf, and the shelf moves at your own pace. There's not a top shelf or a bottom shelf. Again, I understand trending. We're not talking about that in that sense. We're just talking about the platform in general, that like we all get to go there and we all get to be on the shelf. And like you said, it's democratic. Then it's completely what the people want for whatever reasons they want.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like I've had plenty of creators where they're like, oh, that person, so-and-so just makes drama videos or whatever and drums up attention. I'm like, so that's how they did it. That's their charisma. Maybe you don't agree with that or whatever, but there's every different aspect and road to the top of these mountains, and we're all forging our own paths to them. So I actually love seeing all the different ways, and the different things that pop up. To me, it's just a cool, I don't know, it's just so cool watching all these different types of creators and different creators just doing what they want. And
and I have
no companies saying no.
Not have an editorial team tell you, no, you can't do that, you can't do that, you can't draw that, change it, and it's all you, like I said earlier, it's all you, and it's it could be a good and bad thing. So, no, don't get it twisted now. It could be a bad thing as well, because I get $12.
Oh yeah, no, there's definitely everything's got that balance. Yeah.
No, I was reading the comments. Sorry, I didn't.
I see.
My kind of thought.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
I can read it out loud for those listening. Colin Swinburne says, crowdfunded comics is great for me because I get to throw dollars at stuff that I'm interested in. I also know whatever I backed hasn't suffered death by comedy or commodity. Death by comedy. I'm gonna have to look that word up because it probably means something I don't know.
I think he meant commodity, maybe.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Yeah,
but you're right.
Too much. Like if it's oversaturated or something in the market.
Yeah, and that's what I was talking about earlier about the oversaturation, and that's why I wanted to keep for instance, the Chronicles collection limited, because I always liked that, that whole rarity part of collecting comics. That was always fun for me. Like the treasure I have currently is the Miracle Man comics written by Alan Moore, but from the Eclipse, not the Marvel reprints, but the actual original Eclipse books. And it took me 5 years to collect the whole thing. Issue 1 through 16. I'm sorry, 16. The whole run, his whole run. And that was I missed that from comics. That's why I wanted to keep things rare with the Chronicles collection, because I want to kind of have that I wish I had that issue, but you're gonna have to find it somewhere. Hopefully you find it sometime, hopefully down the line, if the Ghetto Dragon does become a big deal, which I hope it does. If I want to keep writing,
and it very well can be. It's on a good track so far. I love that hunt for music. Back when music was only a physical thing, like going to a record store that you'd never been to, some little hole in the wall, and you're like, oh man, I get to go dig through these records and cassettes, and who knows what I'll find. And I got bored finding new music when it all became digital and all the record stores closed. I kind of just, it was a while. My friends would have to introduce me to new music. I'd be like, I'm not hunting anything anymore. I feel like that day is done. There are no more elk to go kill, so I've just put my spear up and sing the old tunes.
Exactly. I'm in the same boat too. So I always have friends recommend me bands now where I go, okay, I'll check them out, and sometimes they stick and sometimes they don't, and it all depends on the kind of music you like too, because some new music is just not good, but they're like treasures. There's one group I listen to right now. They're from Florida. Oh gosh, I can't remember the name. They're like a funk pop band they sound like old school rap, not old school rap, old school hip hop, or old school.
Nice.
I'm sorry, old school like funk mixed with oldies. It's a cool mix. And Mystic Mirrors, that's the name. Psychedelic Mirrors, that's the name of the group. Psychedelic Mirrors. They only have one album, and it's a great album. Very underrated in my opinion. I think they should be getting a lot more love than they're getting now. But they're a very indie music group from, like I said, I think from Florida. I want to say Florida or Georgia. I can't remember which of the two states. And yeah, that album, man, is freaking solid. And again, it just goes to show that there's a lot of talent out there. There's a lot of good stuff out there. You just got to dig for it now, especially when it's not as mainstream as it, back in the day with MTV and VH1 that are no longer, places where you could find new music. So you have to kind of go online on the internet to find that stuff now. So Ferris Jabbar, how much does the creator make off of an Indiegogo campaign if they are a one-man team start to finish on the book? And how do you determine pricing per copy and numbers of copies to send print? My first campaign, man. I don't know.
So that's all math, brother. So you need to determine. So here's what you can do. A lot of people don't factor in their page rate to their campaign. Either they're coming in with the book already done, or they're just not going to pay themselves a page rate. Now that can benefit you, and if you have a smaller goal to reach, then you reach that goal, boom, you hit trending again, boom, 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 and you keep doing that, and then you can build up. So that's going to be something you have to decide personally, is if you want to include a page rate for yourself. I assume you're doing the art fairs because you're always asking such great art questions and things about hatching and rendering and things like that. So I assume you're the artist, maybe the writer artist. So you're going to have to determine, and that's going to be based on your livelihood. I just talk with my hands, so bear with me, guys. That's going to be based on your livelihood and all that stuff. So that stuff is like completely personal. You can work that in. Like in our campaign, we have a way higher goal than a lot of my friends did for their campaigns. And that's because we did work in my page rate for penciling, coloring, lettering. Like it's a different page rate. It's not like the dream highest page rate of ever but we just put in a decent page rate so that if we got funded, I could for sure take the rest of the year to only work on that. Then I'm only working on Hammerella. It's going to come out on time with all the goodies that we've wanted to make and do that with. So I did include that because of this time period, everything that was going on this year and the way that everything kind of fell into place. I was like, I'm going to need to ask for my page rate on this, even though I'm already working on it. That being said, we're also being tricky with ours, where the page rate is also going to Dean Kotz to start on the next Gods and Gears series, because I'd really like to get that going without having to do a campaign push for that particular project until we go for the collection. So I'd like to, that's another thing that we're doing. So what you figure into your campaign as far as your page rate, like I said, that's personal. If you do want to include a page rate, don't be afraid to,
Absolutely.
Like you can always do a flexible goal as well, so that if you don't reach a certain amount, you still have something to put into the pot to make your book. And then also pricing for let's see, what did he say? Determine pricing per copy and number of copies to send to print. That would be based on what okay, so sorry, there's two things there. Pricing per copy, that sort of look at what you're offering and look at what you've gotten from other people or other projects that you've backed or books that you like, and sort of like gauge the quality of the book. Quality of the art doesn't necessarily matter. I mean, that's personal taste, but just the quality of the book, how many pages, the quality of the pages, and how much they're charging, and sort of gauge that. So on Hammerella, we're doing 64 plus pages, and it's going to be perfect bound on really nice paper. It's going to be like a really nice looking shelf collection copy of this. So we're doing $20 for that, and that's going to have a bunch of extras and things like that. I probably could have charged 25 for it, but it was just that thing of like, I know if I charge 25, the same amount of people may back it, but I don't know. For me personally, it's always that thing of, even in my head or digitally, pulling out one $20 bill for something seems okay. Having to pull out another bill is like, it creates a second thought. And it's like, I'd rather just have that $20 price point. Just, I have to hit a few more backers to get the goal, but then that's going to make me push for more backers, which is what I want anyways. Yeah. I want more readers. I want more backers. I want more people having fun with all of this stuff, whether it's my book or the Ghetto Dragon or, City of Rot, Wirehead, any of those. So that's going to determine your pricing, compare and relate your product. And the number of copies to send to print, that's how many boxes do you want to have to sell that's taking up space in your room? Because boy, I've done that before. So you determine that sort of by, someone told me you could double your email list. I don't know the numbers yet. So that if you had 150 people on your email list, you could probably gauge that you move through 300 copies eventually of your book. I don't really know the numbers on that. I feel like that's something we could probably bring up to like Clint Stoker or something on his channel. He's really good at the logistics of things and stuff like that. So is Pete Sametti. But yeah, you don't want to go order 1,000 if you think you're only going to sell 200. Unless you want that 1,000 as stock forever, then have at it, and then you got product for a while. But if it's something you're doing a limited print or a limited run on or something, you don't want to bury yourself down with like having to build a couch out of boxes of comics that you haven't sold yet, just because it takes up space.
Yeah, you don't want that at all.
Sorry, that was a rambly answer.
No, that was actually well said and spot on. I think you hit all the points that he needs to get that. Okay, guys. Oh, good night, William C. Thanks for joining us, man. Thanks for hanging out with us and watching us ink and talk Ghetto Dragon and comics. It's great that you joined us.
7 says, yeah, rate your pay rate for drawing, inking, colors, letters, writing, the time you spend on all of those. And figure that out. Even if you don't end up putting all that into your campaign, maybe you forego a certain thing or something, but still figure that out. Figure out what you want for page rate, if it's 100 or 50 or, whatever it is you feel. If you're painting and you feel like, no, I need to get like 300 because it takes me a week to do a page, and I need to collect. So weigh all of that in, and then once you figure that out, talk to some of your friends or reach out to some people that know better, especially once you've got those numbers kind of figured out. I don't know. I would feel like I start rambling and don't answer their questions.
No, that's actually right. You're absolutely right. That's the way it should be. You should, that saying, know your worth. That's a very tried, that's a true saying. Like, know your worth. Like, no, okay, it takes me X amount of hours for this. It costs me this much for material, paper, pencils, inks, and then the time. So you gotta, of course, there's no shame in that. There's no shame in putting all that in and making sure that you get what you deserve for the time you put in to make a good product. So watch this video again and write down everything that Ryan just said, because I think he hit it spot on. I think that's exactly what we need to do. Precisely, exactly what you need to do. Oh yes, taxes. That. That's right.
First, got a comment here. He says, confused on why you would incorporate page rate if it's a one-man production. I guess I'm confused with how Indiegogo really works. How much does Indiegogo and the printer take per issue? Well, the printer's separate from Indiegogo. Indiegogo does take a small percentage. Again, I'm always so bad with the numbers, so I don't want to spit out numbers I don't know. If you remember the percentage per contribution, because it's basically they charge you for each transaction. They take like a small percentage of each transaction.
I think it's like No, I'm not gonna guess because I don't want to give the wrong information.
Yeah, that's
So,
what I was
you
like.
may- yeah, you
Numbers
to
came
look
to my
that
head,
up
and I was
first.
like, yeah. No, and I feel bad, but with the numbers, it's just something I'm bad at. Like I always have people helping me with that side of things. But they do take a small percentage. The
Yeah,
page
they
rate
do.
is the guarantee that I can do the work, because this is my job as an artist and illustrator as a freelancer. So this is basically hiring myself to make sure this is the only project that, like Hammerella for sure, is the only project I'm going to work on for the next few months. If I hadn't incorporated that page rate, then I'm having to take on commissions and other projects in the time that I want to be spending on Hammerella. And I don't want Hammerella to come out next year. Like I wanted to strike while the iron was hot. The creative juices were there. My Gods and Gears fans were ready for us to expand the universe. We got announced to be ongoing, and this is going to sort of work as like an annual. So it just kind of all worked out in this way. And then, yeah, so this is also setting us up like for shipping supplies. Like I've got all of that worked into my campaign as well. So because we're planning on doing Gods and Gears, we already have tons of Gods and Gears to send out. So we've already got this established series. We've got that benefit that a lot of creators don't have with their project, that we're building off something. And boy, having to ship all that stuff this year, just the little bit I do compared to what Pete did, whew, it's a different game. So our campaign is getting us set up for all of that stuff, Ferris. So that's why ours is so high, because I'm basically turning my house into kind of what Pete has. So basically the production house for comics.
Yeah, you're essentially you're a manufacturing in a way. You're making your house into a shipping warehouse essentially, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
so
it's
so then my next campaign is going to be
extra cost.
way smaller. I won't have to ask that much, because we're going to already have so much already, invested into the brand, if you will. So Colin's always asking funny stuff. So he took it a little further. He says, how much money does it cost you to keep the lights on? How much does stuff cost? Like inks and pencils, equipment, also the cost of your lifestyle. I feel like he read it in his own head that quick, almost like a TV show host or something.
And also you have to keep in mind too, some people have day jobs. You should have a day job as well, just to be safe. To be safe in case the campaign doesn't work out the way you plan, because that happens as well sometimes. When you launch a campaign and you're hoping for a certain amount of money and you don't get it, so it's you just got to make sure you have that extra income there for from your day job, so that way you could stay afloat and you can continue on producing and fulfilling if you do get enough to be able to fulfill your campaign promises or your perks.
Exactly. And Tyon reminds us that Ferris, you'll have to look into printers. Each charge different amounts. There's also a volume of orders. Yes, the more you use, the less they price. Look at Print Ninja for base and go from there. If you're down for newsprint, boy, the Alterna printing partnership program is so affordable. I will throw out some numbers there, but roughly it's only like a few $100s to get a few hundred issues. Like you can get them for basically like 50 cents an issue or something like that. It's ridiculously cheap.
Way.
On the newsprint.
That's
of course,
crazy.
This is on the newsprint.
Yeah, not glossy paper, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Nice. That's still good. That's still a great deal. I mean, who doesn't like? I don't understand the whole, like, I know some people have bashed that, and I'm like, dude, that's cool. Like, I don't know why that's a bad thing. Like, it's like a
Go ahead.
Call it nostalgia. It's a nostalgic, like feeling of like picking up an old comic book. A lot of the old comic books. I have a lot of the old Swamp Thing comics from Alan Moore, like those first print runs, and it's I dig it. I dig the fact that I opened up the book and there's like ink blots, or like the ink is like bleeding through the bleeding outside the panels and stuff. It's cool little like it kind of gives me like a sense of a time capsule. So it's cool that Peter Simeti kind of brought that back, and I love that he did that. And I think if more indie publishers did that, I think they wouldn't disappear so fast. You know, when they open up shop. You know how some indie publishers kind of go down after a while because costs are too high. You know, so that would be, I think, a wise decision for a lot of indie publishing houses to do, is to just go back to newsprint. There's nothing wrong with that. People will dig it, and it's proven. And Peter Simeti has proven it. People do dig newsprint comics because they buy it, and for $150, for $150,
yeah.
I mean, what can you go wrong?
He also proved to me, even I learned after, because I write and color, so it's, I don't know if you can see it here, but it's too hard to see in the camera. There's gradations and tones that you can get, like subtle things that people always said, oh, you can't get that in newsprint. And Peter was like, no, but in modern newsprint, you can. It doesn't print in the exact same, like, you don't see all the dots like you did on old newsprint. Like, there's still, like you said, there's still the offset, like the color, one of the colors is sometimes like a little off, and I love that. I absolutely love that.
It's really, it's charming. It's a very charming Neo look. It's not that bad. It really isn't.
But yeah, I learned by the second issue that I could step up the colors. And then when I colored a couple issues of Scrimshaw, I went full bore, like painting techniques, airbrush, all kinds of different techniques, and they all printed. Like, it all showed up on print. I was shocked and impressed.
That's awesome. Oh man, that's pretty dope. Oh, I'm gonna have to look into that.
All right, we're gonna be wrapping up in just a minute. Yeah. Oh, dude. Yeah, definitely look into it. Yeah, it's fantastic. So yeah, any questions? Get them in. We're gonna be wrapping up in just a minute. I took us a little longer, but oh yeah, here. Let me get this. Wait, actually, hold on 1 second on that, or keep it up. Let me get this question, and then I want to move it out of the way. He says, Ferris says, any printing house that provides the best pricing on gloss quality paper for industry artists? I think someone might have said it earlier. You may have missed it. Comics Wellspring is pretty good for that. I've had good work from them. All right, so let's take a look, Julius. I don't know how to make you full screen, but it looks great there. You forgot one thing though, buddy.
What was that?
So I'm gonna sign mine really quick right here.
No, I signed mine. I saw this is signature right there.
Oh, right, I didn't see yours underneath. I see that now. Okay, cool. So all of those that have inked along, hit my name up and then sign yours below, and we are done. Julius, it looks fantastic, brother.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you. I'm glad you joined in. See, everybody, he's a writer. He types words like this with two fingers. I'm imagining he types like that. He doesn't draw or ink. And look at that. He stepped up and joined in the ink along of Matt Guerra, the hero of the Ghetto Dragon.
You know what Ghetto stands for, right? Da-da-da.
No,
Guerra?
It stands for something. Oh no, what? War?
Guerra, Spanish for war.
Yes, I did know that. Like that's where the word guerrilla comes from, people, and not your King Kong types. So there are links below for this. You can print it up, ink along, take a picture, scan it, and hit me up on Twitter and let me know about it. And once I stop doing the live videos, I'm going to collect all the ink alongs you guys have done, and we're going to share them in a proper video and give them the highlights that they deserve. We want to thank our guest, Julius Freeman, who is the writer of the Ghetto Dragon, and the Ghetto Dragon is currently funding on Indiegogo. And it looks like, let's see if we're calling it there for the night, at least for our show. You're now up to 28 backers, $560 of your original $500 goal. So we're going to keep pushing that on Twitter, and I'm going to be doing some indie showcase news with my good friend Abe Balderman, who's going to be doing some indie news for us, and we're going to be highlighting this and some other projects as well.
Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate that. I really do.
So make sure you back that. Make sure you let us know that you've backed it. I'm scanning for any other questions, last questions. Comments, Simon7 says the colors in Eden and Exilium and Feast or Famine are all modern coloring, but register very well on modern newsprint if you pre-press those well. Exactly. Feast or Famine really opened my eyes to what you could do with digital colors on newsprint. Absolutely stunning work, really vibrant stuff. So we got to thank you both and everyone in the chat. We got a beautiful line work, and I know that was for you, Julius. I know Ferris is.
Oh, thank
talking
you,
about
Ferris.
yours.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And
honestly, Ryan, you have great viewers on your show. They're fantastic people who are watching your show. Very fantastic. You guys are great. All you guys in the chat, fantastic people.
And Colin Swinburne here, he typed this before you said that. So he must have been talking about something else, but it came up right as you were saying these very nice things about them. And so leave it to Colin to be the braggadocious one with it. Yes, I am one of those nice ones. Love it, Colin. Love you guys in the chat. Hail the chat. Hail to Julius for joining us. This was wonderful. Thank you for joining in on the Ink Along. And I can't wait for this book to blow up so that we can get issue 2, issue 3, that trade paperback. I want to watch the Netflix animated series sometime. So hit the link below. Check out the good. I almost called him the Good Dragon. The Ghetto Dragon, book 1. No good deed. See, that's where the good was. See, look, it's not my fault. Ghetto and good were right next to each other, and I'm not that smart. So bear with. And again, if you inked along, let me know, and we will get that into a video for you. So thanks again, and until next time, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and take it easy.